How's it going, guys? Hope you are all having a fantastic day. Just let me set a few things up first before we get into it. This is my first ever live stream. Never done one of these before. So let me know after this one's finished if you like it. Okay. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Making sure that the microphone's working, everything's working. Alright. So, I'm going to do some weathering on this guy, on the Starkiller Saber. What I'm going to do first is I am going to get some of these little brass rods. These are from some CD-ROMs. Some old CD-ROMs. This is one I took apart just before. See, a lot of the parts you can use for making sabers, you can just get out of old electronics more than anything else. You don't really have to be gentle because it's not like you're going to be using these things ever again anyway. Okay. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to quickly post to the Instagram story that I am live. So there we go. Okay. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to just hold on 1 second. Music has stopped. Okay. Alright, so let's get back into it. So what I need to do is I need to get out this little brass rod right in here. Because on the Starkiller Saber it has 2 brass rods that go right here. I've already got one. It's going to go like that. So all that's left is I need to put another one in. So let's get this one out. I get a lot of questions about where do I get a lot of my parts from, and the truth is I just get them from old electronics. It's the best place because they're cheap, because obviously they've become redundant over time, and there's a lot of parts you can use. For example, the screws that you get in old electronics you want to use, because buying screws is quite expensive, to be honest. So if you're able to use them from an old electronics that you're already pulling apart, make sure you keep it. So what I want to do is I just want to get this little brass rod out of this. There we go. So now I've got 2 of these. I need to clean this a bit. It's a bit gross. It's got oil on it. Where am I from? I am from Australia. Born and raised. Okay. So now we've got these. Where do I find my aluminum pipe that I use for my saber hilts? I buy it from a local supplier. I find that it's cheaper just to buy it from a local supplier. So you want to look at different places online that are local to you, and you should be able to find them. I get asked a lot about the diameter of sabers. The best diameter that I use is about 38 millimeters, and then I reduce it down to about 36. 36 millimeters is about the diameter that you want your saber to be. So, you know, if you don't have the materials like the tools that I use, then you're going to want to look for something that is already at 36 millimeters in diameter. That's what you want for your saber. Okay. So this here, this little bit here, it's a little piece of magnetic fixture, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crush this to get this off. I'll just use some pliers or some vice grips. Am I planning to do any more sonics? Yes, I am planning to do some more sonics. It just depends on which sonics I'm going to do next. I do want to do the River Song, and I do want to do the Masters Laser Sonic. So, see that? That has cracked that. We'll just do it again. There we go. There we go. Now, I'll just hit this with a bit of because there's a little bit of adhesive in there. We'll just get that off. There we go. Okay. So this saber is actually a saber that I've been planning to do for quite a while, if I'm being honest. But the truth is, I always knew it would be quite an intense build. And I was right. It's actually been quite difficult to do. There was a lot of machining that I've had to do with it over the last couple of days. Okay, so I need to reduce the size of this one. This one's a bit too long. It needs to fit inside these little... There's two little holes in there where the brass rods are going to go into. So I've got to trim this one down to the same size as this. Ooh. And I can't use any power tools. So let's just cut that right there. Okay, so let's see. Does that fit? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, okay, yeah, alright. Kind of fits. So we'll try this one on the left side. So, I got asked to do live streaming probably about a month ago, if I was ever going to do live streaming. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I ever was going to live stream, because I didn't think that I could create a live stream that would be entertaining for people. But tonight, I was sitting there and I thought, you know what, I want to try it. I've never tried a live stream. It might be good, might be bad. I don't know. I just felt like at least give it a chance. Okay, so yeah, I think that'll fit. I've got lots of junk everywhere on the workbench, actually. Sorry about that, guys. A tool that I would recommend everybody to get if they're new to making is a pair of calipers. These are perfect, and I would recommend getting the dial ones as well, because the digital ones will break on you. Okay, so need some M3 hex screws. Thank you, because you motivated me to do a Graflex instead of buy one. Now I've got a bright steel Graflex that cost me under $50 instead. That's good. That's good. I really do hope that my videos inspire people to make things. I've gotten a lot of criticism about my videos in terms of, you know, the machinery you have costs thousands of dollars. Not everybody's going to be, you know, able to do this. It's not DIY, blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, it's over the years, I was like you guys. I didn't have any machines. I used to make things in my bedroom. I actually used to use hacksaws and cut up metal in my bedroom when I was making things. And all that's changed really is over time I've gotten a workshop, and then I've gotten the tools. So if my videos inspire people to make their own stuff, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, that's not going in. And especially Graflex. I remember I actually made a couple of years back now. I actually made a little Graflex. It was probably about half the size of a proper Saber, and I made it out of just some piping and I think a little bit of adhesive foam as well. Yeah, okay, that's not going in. But that's how the crystal chamber is going to look anyway. I did add a lot of battle damage on this particular Saber. Okay. Alright, so what's next? Oh, this is the Saber so far for you guys to see. This here, this little bit of aluminum, this is actually from a LED strip. So you can actually pick up some of these little aluminum square bars for about, I think it's about $10 I paid for the LED strip. So if you need cheap control boxes for your Saber, these are a really good option. For making the head on the 10th Dr. Sonic, what tools do you need? Well, I would say you need a lathe and a mill, but I'm always hesitant to offer advice on what tools to get, because they are dangerous tools. They're not something that beginners use. You actually need to do training or courses or something to learn how to use them, because they can be deadly machines. They're not just, oh, I want to make stuff, so I'm going to buy them. That's just, so I never really give advice on that. Do you sell any of your lightsabers? Yes, I do. Not all of them, but I do sell my sabers. It's just been a bit hard with the whole lockdown and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little dab of glue there. It's not going to hold it permanently, it's just to stop it from rattling right now. So I do want to do a little bit of paint on this one, on the top half, because the bottom half is still not finished. I still got to finish up the machining on the bottom half, add all the grips and stuff. But the top half is pretty much done. All that's left is the weathering. So that's what we're going to do. So for weathering, I always want to use some, what's this, burnt umber. Burnt umber, it's just basically a brown acrylic paint. Obviously a black acrylic paint, and the best one you can get of them all is a burnt sienna. A burnt sienna is a really nice color, and it gives it, depending on what you want, but it can give it a nice rusted look. I used this on the Luke V2 Saber. It was what I used for the copper section, and it's what I'm going to use for the copper around this part here as well. Okay, so did you guys have any more questions? I think I'm going to use a big nice wide brush for this one, because I want to basically get it everywhere. So what you want to do when it comes to these things is you want to get, where do I sell them? I sell them on my Etsy store when I sell them. When I sell the stuff that I make, it's always on the Etsy store. There should be a link in the channel about page. There's a link to all the different stuff. So when you're doing a black wash on a prop, when you want to give it that aged metal look, what you want to do is you do want to add a little bit of water to the acrylic, because it'll help it basically settle in a bit better. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to see if I can put some music back on. Okay. Alright, that's better. Alright. Now that the Discord is gone again, is there any way we can show you, can you show me your builds? You know, if you guys tag me on Instagram, on the Instagram page, I can see it. I can see when you tag me and that stuff. So if you have a build that you want to show me, just tag me on Instagram and I'll see it. What is your favorite Saber in the ones you've made? Honestly, I don't know. I've made so many at this point, it's just gotten ridiculous. I've just made so many. So that's a bit thick. I'm gonna thin that up a bit. The great thing about this particular Saber design is that it's such a destroyed Saber that it doesn't matter if you make mistakes in the weathering. You can put as much as you want on, or as little as you want on, really. It doesn't really matter. But it does take down some of the shine on the aluminum. I think what I'm going to do though is I'm going to put on some gloves, actually. Will you ever do a tutorial on how to fix electronics? Because I'm building my own and having some trouble with that. Love your vids, keep up the work. Thank you, Mr. Bacon. Yes, I've actually got some criticism about the electronics of Sabers before, and it's kind of warranted, but at the same time it's not. In that I understand that some people want me to do electronics, but I'm doing what? How many Saber builds have I done now? Nearly 15, 16 of them. And let's just say you spend, you know, $60 minimum on electronics per Saber. Like, that's a lot of money to do every single Saber. But there is Sabers that I will do installs on in the future. It's just at the moment, especially right now at the moment, in terms of everything that's going on in the world and lockdowns and all that sort of stuff, it's really not the best time for me to order stuff internationally, because the delays are ridiculous. And that's also the reason why I'm not selling any of my builds at the moment. It's just because shipping, everything, it's really not very good. So everything's kind of on hold until things can get sort of back to normal, I guess. How old am I? 23, I think. What is the best way to shine aluminum and get rid of the dullness on it when you get it? Get rid of the dullness and shine it. You can use steel wool, one of the really fine steel wools, not the big thick ones. The really thin, fine steel wool. You can use that. That does give you a nice shine, but it also, I don't want to say it damages aluminum, but it does give it a texture that I'm not particularly fond of. So I'd probably say the best way to shine aluminum would be to actually just buy some What do I use? I think I use some Auto Gilm, I think it's called. It's a UK aluminum polish for cars. A lot of the time when it comes to prop making, in general, you'll use a lot of automotive materials and products because they give you really good results. Can you make Emperor Palpatine's saber? Probably. I probably could. Am I going to? Probably not. It's just one of those sabers that's not easy at all. It's the same thing with Mace Windu's. People have asked me, oh, can you make Mace Windu's? And it's like, I would like to make his, but it would cost a bit of money just to make it, and even more time and effort to put it together, because it's actually quite a complex saber to make, especially if I'm making it out of metal. If I 3D print it, then it's no problem, but if I'm actually making it out of metal, which you guys are accustomed to, then it's a different story entirely. It's very difficult. And it's actually a problem that a lot of saber manufacturers have as well, because making those sabers isn't easy even for them. So they have to actually cast them. I think they cast the Palpatine saber in stainless steel. You do your crystal with epoxy, or do I print them? My crystals. The crystal in this particular saber is a real quartz crystal. This is an actual quartz crystal. And I have another one sitting somewhere. And I cast a mold of these two crystals. So all my crystals, actually I think I have one right here. Here's another one, here's a blue one. This one is cast in resin, and this one is cast, this one is actually a quartz crystal. So my advice would be, if you want your own crystals and you want unlimited crystals, actually go out and find a nice quartz crystal that you like, and then make a mold of it, and then cast it in resin. And you can cast it in any color you want. And this one does have an LED cast within it. That's the best way to get crystals. And it's cheap, it costs nothing. Obviously, other than the materials to make it, but after you've done that, it's nothing. I remember one of your Insta stories a while ago. You were losing your interest in Star Wars. Have you still lost your interest? Okay, so this is a interesting question. Lately, my interest in new Star Wars stuff, is really, it's not there. It's really not. It's just everything that is being made in terms of the new Disney Star Wars stuff. It doesn't interest me. And I'm not trying to say that in a way like, if you like new Disney Star Wars stuff, there's a problem with that. No, that's fine. If you like it, that's good. But I personally don't. And the reason why is, I'm a prequels fan. I grew up with the prequels. I love the prequels. I love the original trilogy too, of course, but I grew up with the prequels. And all the stuff that Disney has been focusing on and plans to focus on in the future going forward seems to be a lot of original trilogy style stuff. And so it was really just dulling my interest, because every new announcement that we got for Star Wars just wasn't something that I was interested in. But hold on one second, guys. But lately, I've been, I've been rewatching some stuff, and I've been enjoying it again. It's just making Star Wars videos for you guys. I don't have a problem with making Star Wars stuff. I love making Star Wars stuff, but it's making Star Wars stuff constantly, every single video, every single day. It really does get to you after a while. And after a while, you just need to take a step back. And that's what I did a couple of weeks ago. I took some time off from making videos. For you guys, it didn't seem like anything, because I just used all the videos that I had already pre-made. But I actually took a good, I think it was about 3 weeks out of the workshop. And it was a good thing, because I decided to do some other stuff, reset, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So now I'm back to a place where I'm enjoying not only Star Wars stuff, old Star Wars stuff at least, but I'm also enjoying being back in the workshop and doing some builds. And I've got a lot of builds planned that are going to be really fun. You have done the Mandalorian helmet, but will you do some more like the clones or stormtroopers? I do want to do more helmets. I do. I really do. That was actually pretty fun. It was a lot of sanding, but I did actually really enjoy doing the helmet. So I do want to do some more. But I don't know if... I don't want to sit there and say it's definitely going to be a Star Wars helmet, but it probably will be a Star Wars helmet, but I don't want to say that it's definitely going to be a Star Wars helmet, because I might want to do some other stuff, because there are some really cool helmet designs. There is some masks that I want to do. I want to do some Japanese masks. I think they're kabuki mask or something. Okay, so that's enough of a black wash. So now I've got it in sort of looking a bit weathered there. It's a bit heavy, but I'll be able to take that back once it's done. Now I need to move on to some of the burnt sienna. And this is what gives us our rust look. One second, that music's gone off. Okay. What is your favorite Star Wars movie? Mine is Revenge of the Sith. Favorite Star Wars movie? Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, definitely. I love Revenge of the Sith. It's great. I think what really stuck out to me as a kid when I watched it for the first time was that I don't think up until that point I'd ever watched a movie where it ended so tragically, and I think that was what really resonated with me. I'd never watched a movie where it ended so badly. Normally, when you get to the end of the movie, it's all, you know, it's all hugs around, it's all great and everything. But at the Revenge of the Sith, nobody won. It's a tragic ending at the Revenge of the Sith. So I think that's what really stood out as a kid to me. So I'm just going to add some of this burnt sienna to the screws, because that's normally where rust will pile up on screws, just underneath them. Because everything around the screw will get touched and will get worn and it'll get moved away, but right directly behind the screws is normally where rust will build up on steel. Will you ever make Captain Jack's Sonic Blaster? I can't make blasters. I can't make blasters, guys. I want to make blasters, but I can't. When I make blasters, it screws up YouTube's systems. They don't like you making blasters or anything like that. That's the reason why, ever since that first one that I made with the DL44, I haven't made another one, because YouTube does not like it. Let's go back with it. What do you think about the Star Wars sequels? I have made a video on this, actually. I have a second channel, for people who don't know. I have a second channel called Korriban's Archives. It should be in my suggested channels on the main page. And on my suggested channels, I have a Star Wars ranked videos that I did. My personal ranking of all the Star Wars videos. So if you want to know what I think about all of the Star Wars movies, you should check out that video. Do you think you will do some aluminum Mandalore armor? I want to, but I'm not sure if it's something I want to commit to yet, in terms of a build, because it'll be time consuming, and it'll be a really big build, and it's not something I'm saying I'm never going to do. I'm just saying at the moment there's other builds that I do want to get done. So this is what it looks like before, with just the black wash on the aluminum, and then I'll show you after we've put some burnt sienna on. Where do you get your parts from? Which parts? Which parts are we talking? Let me know which parts you mean. Will you do the 3-blade lightsaber of Kylo Ren? I don't really like the sequel lightsabers. Now, I have done the dark gray lightsaber because I did enjoy that saber. It was a really good saber. I'll definitely give props to that. It's a cool saber. So that's why I did that one. I've got it right here, actually. You know, that's why I did this one, because it's such a cool saber that I actually really enjoyed doing it. Let's see if I can... But the truth is, all the other sabers I'm not really a fan of. I don't like them. I don't like the broken in half Graflex. It's not something I really enjoyed. And the Kylo Ren saber, I'm not really a fan of it, but I do like the Ben Solo saber, which is like the light side version. I actually do like that saber, and I would want to make it, but it's once again it's like the Mace Windu and Darth Sidious sabers. It's really complex. If I was to make it out of metal, out of aluminum. Okay, that looks good. Where's that sponge going? Something you definitely should use, guys, is sponges. Sponges are great for painting. They give you a good texture when you're trying to apply stuff in a specific sort of way, in a natural sort of way, I would say. Okay, so where else would some rust be? We'll definitely get some rust in between these two layers because dirt and grime would get mixed in here, so we definitely need to put some stuff, some sort of weathering in there. The smaller parts you use for detailing. Which do you mean smaller parts? Give me an example, just so I know exactly what you're talking about. Because if you're talking about like screws and stuff, you can just buy them online. Big fan of all the things you make. Been looking for years, trying to find a metal possible buy me one. I don't sell them anymore. I don't sell 10th Doctor Sonics anymore. They are a lot of work. They're about a full week of just solid machining to get one, just to get one done. It's actually quite a lot of work. Actually, I think I'll use the brown for this part. So this is just the burnt umber that I'm going to use for the brown. In front of the crystal, for example. Oh, okay. I actually, in this build, in this Starkiller build, I've tried to give a lot of examples where I get a lot of this stuff. For example, these little pins here. These are actually some... Hold on, let me grab them. These are some brass leather screws, and I've just machined down the top, and I've used that. And these here, this brass rod here at the start of this stream, I got it out of a CD-ROM. These you can get these brass rods out of CD-ROMs in here. So I've tried to provide examples in this in the Starkiller build of where you can actually get some of the stuff, because you know when you use the crystal chamber stuff, you can you use the hard drive parts. So using hard drive parts for crystal chambers is really, really good. And then for the brass stuff, you want to get some of those brass rods from out of old CD-ROMs. You should be able to buy them online. That, you know, people don't use CDs anymore for computers, really. I'm talking about old computers. They use brass guided. These are brass guiding rods. The motor that moves around on the actual disc, when you would insert it, this is what the motor would go up and down on. So you can use brass rods like these. And then the actual brass inside of there, the big thick bits of brass, they're actually parts of hoses. I'll actually get some. Just give me a second, I'll get some. I'll show you what I mean. So these parts here, these cost me what, $2.50 for these little ones, and these are all just parts of hoses, like you would get going on garden hoses. I got these at a local $2 shop, and you can cut these up. You can cut these bits off and then use this bit, and that's what I've used in here. I've actually used some of the garden hose bits. What's the most time-consuming build you've ever done? Time-consuming. A lot of them have. There's some builds that have taken a long time, like the dark grey one. That took 2 months, I think, 2-3 months. Not because it was difficult. It was just buying all the materials and waiting for them to arrive. And then when they did arrive, I was sidetracked with other builds, so it did. That one took a while, but probably the most time-consuming one would be my Game of Thrones Westeros table. That one took a full week of hand carving. It took a long time, and it was actually a lot of work as well, like physical, actual work, getting carving it by hand every day. Started to get sore wrists. So you want to make sure when you're doing the weathering, you don't just use black. A lot of people will just use black for their weathering. You want to use at least 3 colors, because most of the time you'll have black, which is more of your base coat, and then after that you want to have things like brown for, like, dirt and grime and all that sort of stuff that builds up over time. Is the dark ray lightsaber the hardest saber you've made? The hardest saber that I've made. I don't think so. I don't think it was the hardest. It was definitely the biggest in terms of, it was a double lightsaber, so I basically had to make the same lightsaber twice. So it was a lot of work, but I don't think it was the hardest. I'm trying to think, which one was the hardest? Probably the Luke V2. That was actually a lot of work, doing the Luke V2, yeah, definitely. I actually did spend a good week basically doing that. And I think it was one of the first sabers that I did, like, from start to finish. I don't know, if we go back and look at my videos, I'm sure it's probably the first actual lightsaber that I made all myself. Because sabers that I had made before that, I actually just I had modified or changed up a bit, but I think that was the first one that I made completely myself. I just subscribed to your other channel. Thanks, Dead Wookie 1. Thank you. I know I don't post much on the second channel. It's honestly just because I'm too busy with the main channel. There are videos that I want to put on the second channel. It's just I don't have the time. But I will be putting up when I finish the. So for something. Okay, let's just for the comic book. Just changing over a little bit for a second. For the comic book, I'm going to be releasing the first 10 pages before I'm not going to release it all at once, just because it's going to take me so long, and it's costing me a lot of money to do, to be honest. So I'm going to do the first 10 pages, and what I'm going to do is on the second channel, I'm actually going to put up a, one of those comic read-throughs that you see Star Wars YouTubers do, channels do, how they do the live comic readings or whatever you want to call it, the voiceovers. So I'm going to do that for the first 10 pages of the comic book when it's done, and that will be on the second channel. So we'll just put some more brown on, get it in all the little nooks and crackies, and then we'll get that out. Did I actually do the Fallen Order in one day? Yes, I did. There's a reason why the Fallen Order saber isn't really as detailed as as most of my sabers normally are, and the reason for that is because I got it here. I omitted, you know, a lot of the detailing up the top and the bottom. I went in and I did it a couple of days later, but for the purposes of that video, I just did the main body and I did it all in one day. It was a long day. Man, if I'd had a knurling tool, I'd make one too. Yeah, a knurling tool. Yeah, a lot of people didn't actually know what a knurling tool was, which I found interesting. Since, you know, knurling is on a lot of things like flashlights and tools and all that sort of stuff. Knurling's everywhere. So the fact that people didn't know what knurling was interesting. And they didn't understand how it worked as well. But knurling is one of those operations that's, if you get it right, it's awesome. It looks great. Okay, I think that's enough of the brown. Get it in there a little bit more. I don't remember, but did you do a double or simple lightsaber of Darth Maul? I haven't done Darth Maul's lightsaber. I actually really, really want one of Darth Maul's lightsabers because I have a project in mind for it that's actually different. I haven't done a project like it before. And the design of Maul's saber is perfect for what I want to do with that saber. So what I'm actually waiting for is there's a run coming out by One Replicas, who makes amazing sabers. He's doing a run of them, I think, at some point, I'm sure. And I'm just going to be waiting for him to do one. And if I'm not able to get that done, then I will just, I will end up making one myself. But I actually haven't made them all yet. But I do want to make one. I do want one. Because I have a good project, a really good project in mind for it. See, with this aluminum here, this is the LED strip aluminum. It's actually so smooth. It's got a coating on it, a clear coating, a clear anodized coat, so the paint isn't really sticking to it. So I'll just see if I can get that off. Can you make Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber? Yeah, I'm planning to do a. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I do plan on getting one at one point. Whether I have to make it or not, I don't know yet. But I do have a project for Darth Maul saber in mind. Did you use an indexing kit to make the Luke V2 pommel? I can't figure out how you made it. I did use an indexing head. I did. So what happened was, I don't think you can see it in the video, was I started to do the pommel on the V2, and what happened was I forgot to tighten down one of the screws. So when I was making one of the passes on the cuts, the entire indexing head started to move. So I had to basically cut it because on film it obviously didn't work. I had made a mistake. But I did use an indexing head for that bit. Let's see if that works now. There is also the Inquisitor's Sabers. Do you think you'll do one day? Yeah, maybe. I don't mind the design. It's a bit, you know, we can get into the physics of how it's not possible, what they do with their sabers, but in terms of a design, it's not too bad. It's different, obviously, so it's not something I'd be opposed to. Can't wait for me to do a face review. Yeah, well, I'm a handsome chap, so, you know, but the main reason why I haven't done a face reveal video is it's just filming videos is actually like content for YouTube. It's actually a lot of work. You know, it's not that easy, especially anymore. Especially when you're trying to do really quality content, like I've been trying to do lately, which I know you guys haven't seen yet because I've changed around my filming setup. But in upcoming videos, you'll see my new setup, my new camera angles and stuff, new lighting. Yeah, I like that. It's a bit of a burnt look. What country are you based in? Australia. I am from Australia. Yeah, I actually took a bit too much off there. So one of the things about acrylic is, after you leave acrylic on for a long period of time, it actually really adheres to whatever it's sticking to. For example, this is the Fallen Order saber. In here, this is all acrylic that I weathered this one with, and this stuff doesn't come off. It doesn't rub off. It doesn't come off in your hands, but it does take a long time to properly, first of all, dry, and then adhere to a saber as well. Okay. All right. So we've done that. We've done the back. I think we can put a bit more burnt sienna on. I really do like burnt sienna as a weathering color, and just a color in general. It's a really good color to put on when you're weathering things. So as I've been making this saber, I was really worried about the structural integrity of the saber because it has obviously this big crystal chamber cutout, but this thing is rock solid. It has so many. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. About 13 screws just in the top half. This thing is rock solid. It's not going anywhere. Nothing's happening to this. I'll take that shine down a bit. Oh, see, that looks great. Ever since I discovered your channel, I've been in awe of your content and skill. Keep it up, bro. Thank you, Jordan Knight. You know, making things is really, for me personally, I've been doing it since I was a kid, so, you know, it's all I really know. But a lot of people I've found don't get into making things until later on. But I encourage everybody to make things. Do you put the blueprints or plans in the description of your lightsaber videos? Because I like to do Ahsoka Saber. No, I don't. The reason for that is I don't make any. It depends. Actually, let me rephrase that. Depending on which saber it is, I don't do plans. If it's a saber that I've done more than once, then I do make plans. But a lot of my YouTube videos, I'm just doing for the video purpose for you guys. So I don't actually make plans. But if I was ever to have to recreate it or something like that, then I would have to obviously make some plans. But I have got some of my blueprints. I've got some of my 3D designs up on the Etsy store for those people who want to 3D print some of their saber. I think I've got the V2 files up there and the Plo Koon ones as well. His saber is one of my favorites. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to knock down a lot of this. Another thing I'd recommend is Scotch-Brite pads. I use these for everything. These are great. This is a red one. This is a coarse Scotch-Brite pad. And the grey is more for a polishing. I definitely recommend picking some of these up. Much better than you know, using sandpaper for something like this. Their applications are much better. Obviously, you still use sandpaper, but I'm saying for purposes like this particular purpose, for removing weathering and stuff like that, you definitely want to use something like a Scotch-Brite pad. Because you don't want to remove too much material, but you also want a nice balance of what you're removing. That looks much better. Have I ever injured myself while doing a build? I don't think so. I have gotten some stuff in the eyes before, like when I'm machining things. I've got a couple of things that have little bits of metal that have gotten stuck in my eyes. Like not injuring myself, just an annoyance more than anything. Just 1 second, guys. Will you do some more of the sabers made of anything you find, not specifically from movies, comics, etc.? DIY sabers. I have no idea, to be honest. I haven't got any planned, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to make any. It just means I don't have any planned at the moment. I think after this saber build comes out, I've got the Kit Fisto saber planned, and I think that's all I've got planned so far. I haven't actually made any plans further than that, because obviously there's builds in between. Alright, so I think that's good for the weathering. I do want to do some of the red and blue on the emitter guard. I've had some people ask, how do you make it look like it's burnt steel, kind of like Kylo Ren's saber. And the way you do that is, what we'll do is we grab our blue and our red. So I've got some scarlet for the red and some cerulean blue, I think. Corellian blue, why not? Make it Star Wars. Corellian blue. So we'll just put a little bit there. And a little bit of red. So what happens is, what the red and blue is actually, is it's when steel is heated up, it goes through heat tempering, which changes the color depending on the heat of the actual steel. So that's what it is. So what you want to do is we'll start with some blue first. Actually, no, we'll start with some brown first, actually, to be honest. Let's start with brown. So let's take off a little bit more of this so we've got a bit more room to get the paint on. Once again, using the red Scotch-Brite pad. Okay, so we'll start with a little bit of brown on the top. Just a little bit. Then we'll go back to our sponge. Sponge that off. Okay, after we sponge that off, we'll give a really light Scotch-Brite, and that will just give the aluminum a nice brown sort of tinge. Now we're going to move on to the blue. So this is a really light blue that I'm using. Now I honestly would prefer to use a bit of a different color blue, but this is all I've got, so I'm just going to roll with it. And we'll get our sponge again. So what this does is it just disperses the color basically. So then we have our layer of blue. And then we have our red. Let's quickly finish this up. There we go. Nice little burn pattern. Alright guys, I'm going to be finishing up the live stream here. Thank you all for joining my first one ever. Maybe I might do some more in the future. We'll see how you guys like this one. Alright, have a good one, guys.